Where are my sunglasses at? I thought I had them right here. Hey, did you move my sunglasses? I don't know. I thought I had them right here. Never mind. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully everybody's doing well out there. It's easy to be overlooked, right? Sometimes there's something right in front of your face or on your head like your sunglasses, and you just forget where they are. The same thing goes for fantasy football, and in this episode, we're going to talk about a few wide receivers who you may recognize the name for, but come your fantasy football draft here in just a few months, these are some names that may fall a little bit farther down the list than they should. I got 3 wide receivers, one inside the top 15, one inside the top 30, and then one inside the top 60 that we probably need to pay a little bit attention to, not only throughout the offseason, but on draft day. Once again, our draft guide, though, is available for pre-order on our website. You can go there right now, and for $14.99, you can pre-order your 2020 Fantasy Football Draft Kit. But for now, we're talking about a couple wide receivers we need to keep our eye on and not overlook here in 2020. All right, first guy we're talking about is going to be somebody who's ranked inside the top 15 at the wide receiver position. I think right now he's sitting right around wide receiver 14, and he'll probably stay right around there going into your drafts. It's Cooper Kupp of the Los Angeles Rams, and it absolutely blows my mind that he's this low down the list. Now, he left a lot of people expecting just a little bit more after the end of last season, right? The big, huge games, they just weren't there. He became really touchdown dependent after their bye week. He only had one game with over 6 receptions and 65 yards, only once, and it was his last game of the season. But the guy finished as wide receiver 4 in half-point PPR scoring. He still had 94 receptions, 7th in the NFL, 1,162 yards, 11th in the NFL, and 134 targets, also 11th in the NFL. He ranked 3rd in the NFL in red zone receptions with 16 of them, and he was 4th in the NFL in yards after the catch with 525 yards. Not to mention he plays on a team that threw the ball 40-plus times a game. Did he struggle a few weeks? Yeah, absolutely. He did. Did he kill your team down the stretch? No, more than likely he didn't, because he was still scoring touchdowns on a weekly basis. He's one of only 4 wide receivers in football, though, that had at least 80 receptions, 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, and a 70% catch percentage. He'll be hovering right around this wide receiver 12 to 14 mark, and I will take that all day long for Cooper Kupp. The big games, they may be a little bit more few and far between, but the consistency, the numbers on a weekly basis for somebody who you can get if you go heavy running back early, I'm not hopping off the Cooper Kupp bandwagon at all. All right, so now we transition into the wide receiver who's inside the top 30, and we're going to be talking about A.J. Brown, Tennessee Titans, and a lot of you out there going, fast forward, I already know about A.J. Brown. I get it. Trust me, I'm all over A.J. Brown also. However, I kind of just have this feeling he may be somebody who kind of gets overlooked on draft day. Think about it. The incoming draft class for the wide receiver position is stacked. The hype is going to be out of control for some of these young wide receivers, and I can see A.J. Brown just kind of being overlooked on draft day. But should he be? No, absolutely he should not be. I mean, right now at wide receiver 30 is absolutely nuts. Now that's going to climb up a little bit. I kind of expect him to be there right around the mid-20s come draft season. But the biggest question with him is, who is his quarterback, right? I mean, he did great with Ryan Tannehill, but does Tannehill come back? There's been rumors of Tom Brady. Either way, though, this kid has figured it out. He led all rookie wide receivers in receiving yards with 1,051 and touchdowns with 8. I mean, heck, he actually finished as wide receiver 15 last season in half-point PPR scoring. In 2019, 4 out of his last 6 games, he ended up with 100 receiving yards and had 6 total touchdowns over his last 6 weeks. He was top 3 in yards per reception, yards per target, and the biggest stat, in my opinion, he only had 2 drops on the season. That is great for a rookie wide receiver last year. I mean, he's definitely got pieces to build off of. He averaged 2.58 fantasy points per target. That is the second best number of all fantasy football wide receivers. The dude is a freak. Who's his quarterback? Yeah, that's something we really need to follow, but I really believe this guy has the talent to succeed with whoever they put in that spot. He is a great option, especially if you go heavy running back early. A.J. Brown, as of right now, is a name that I'm really paying attention to. All right, now lastly, the guy we're going to talk about outside the top 60 at the wide receiver position, who's really being overlooked in my opinion. Plus, him and I, we have something in common. We're both going bald, which is totally awesome. I'm talking about Hunter Renfro, wide receiver of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I get it. The dude looks like somebody at your local YMCA that has no idea how a bench press works. But at times last year, he showed he really belonged in the league. He only played in 13 games, yet had 49 receptions, 605 yards, and 4 touchdowns. But it was really how he ended the season. 18 targets, 13 receptions, 209 yards, and 2 touchdowns in his last 2 games alone. But we're going to dig a little bit deeper. The opportunity for this guy to break out in 2020 could really be there, and he could be a great draft day value. He's currently, as of right now, at wide receiver 67. That may climb a little bit, but it's not going to raise much. Why? Because it's Hunter Renfro. But look at some of the stats that he compiled last year. One of them that I like the most, his YAC. His yards after catch per reception averaged 6.8 yards. That's tied for 8th best in the NFL. And he's not out there dropping balls all over the place. He had a 70% catch rate. Now, the possibility they draft another wide receiver for the Raiders is very likely, right? But in my opinion, that's just going to draw attention away from Hunter Renfro and give him more opportunities. This guy is loved by the GM Mike Mayock. He's kind of like a discount Julian Edelman. He's got room to improve, and there's really limited risk on draft day. In my opinion, Hunter Renfro, back half of drafts, is going to be a wide receiver that I snag a lot of here in 2020. All right, so there's an example of 3 guys, right? Top 15, top 30, top 60 that are slightly being overlooked. Now, it's still early in the season, right? We could go out here and put together rankings and tell you who this year's sleepers and breakouts and must-haves are, but let's be realistic. The draft hasn't even happened yet. So if there's channels out there telling you stuff like that, take it for what it's worth. I mean, there's a lot that's going to change here in the next month or so in the NFL. These are just a few names that we need to start paying attention to going into the offseason. It's a lot of fun talking fantasy football once again. And like usual, I want to interact with you guys out there. Let me know what you think about these 3 names. Are you on board or are you off of all 3 of these guys? Now, I have a feeling A.J. Brown's going to be a popular guy for a lot of people, especially the die-hard fantasy football fans. But if you're one of those casual leagues, he's somebody who could be overlooked. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. And maybe you know of another wide receiver in these ranges that's slightly being overlooked that you're really paying attention to here in the offseason. I'm looking forward to interacting with you guys. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week. A lot of more fantasy football videos coming out. So stay tuned. Click that subscribe button. Hit the like button for the brother. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you later.